Ladies and gentlemen, that's why I titled the show this day. This is Trump's GOP now. You don't have to like it. Nobody gives a shit. It doesn't matter if you like it. It just is. It doesn't matter. It's like saying, I don't like the fact that 5 + 5 = 10. Nobody gives a shit if you like it. That's what it equals. Here's a Harry Enton segment. He's a pollster over at CNN. So he has no reason, obviously, to lie about Trump's popularity. He's at CNN. They don't want to put on positive stories. But here, I want you to watch this segment about poll numbers about the Trump transition. Folks, the GOP approval for the transition is near universal, despite the media's transition hysteria. Oh my gosh, RFK, controversial nominees. Never listen to those losers. Always listen to us. Check this out.
There were some anti-Trump sentiments going on among GOP voters during his first term. What does it look like now for his second?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the same basic thing that we see in the United States and the United States House. All right, Republicans on the Trump transition. You go back to January 2017, it was 80% approved. Now, that's not bad. But, oh, my goodness gracious, look at where we are now. It's 96%. I mean, you can't get any more universal, basically, than 96%. Those that disapprove, look, it was 10% back in January 2017. Now it's down to, get this, it's down to just 4. It's down to just 4. So, look, there are no GOP opponents in the United States Congress. There are very few among Republican voters. This is Trump's party. Mitt Romney, 100% correct.
Folks, again, this is CNN. They have no reason to make Trump look good. They only have a reason to make Trump look bad. They're obviously ideologically opposed to every single thing he does. They hate the guy. They have no reason to do that. This is Trump's GOP now. Why do I put that out there? I'm never going to waste your time, man. I promise you. The show is meant to be entertaining, but I want it to be somewhat educational too. Because, folks, GOP voters approve of what he's doing, moving in a more populist direction. That does not mean we are going to agree on everything. We are going to have to reform Social Security. Obviously, Donald Trump disagrees. I know that it's mathematically impossible to balance the budget without it. He has had to make some political calculations there. It doesn't mean I agree with him. I obviously didn't agree with him on his abortion stance or criminal justice reform. However, his stance on foreign policy, his stance on federal regulations, his stance on school choice, his stance on the economy and a growth-producing agenda. I agree with all of that. His stance on the healthcare system, trying to things like right to try and other things he did. You're not going to agree with everything. The point is the numbers are the numbers. You can say all you want, you know, if you're the Wall Street Journal or these old school kind of center-right Republican outlets like National Review, that Donald Trump's a plague on the Republican Party, but just nobody agrees with you. Maybe you're the plague on the Republican Party. I'm sorry. You just don't get it. And the man understands during this transition that the political power is in his camp. It's different than 2016, where I don't mean this as an insult, folks. I was never the president. I don't know what it's like to be a businessman and then, boom, you're the most powerful man in the world walking in the Oval Office. I don't know what that's like. It must have been overwhelming. That's not the case this time. 2016, the transition was, it wasn't chaotic. It was just a little not mission focused and a bit disoriented in the beginning. That's not the case this time. It is totally different. Here he is, Trump, in the presser the other day, warning people who don't get on board with this agenda. He has the political capital, and he's freaking going to use it. That if you're not going to get behind his nominees and his vision for where we should take this country with his cabinet, that they may consider a primary. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're in a red state doing it, they should definitely consider a primary. As I've said before, Susan Collins in Maine, that's the best you're going to get. But Murkowski, Joni Ernst, and others, you want to screw around, then you're going to politically find out. Check this out.
Should senators who oppose your nominees, your cabinet nominees, should they be primary?
If they are unreasonable, I'll give you a different answer, an answer that you'll be shocked to hear. If they're unreasonable, if they're opposing somebody for political reasons or stupid reasons, I would say has nothing to do with me. I would say they probably would be primary. But if they're reasonable, fair, and really disagree with something or somebody, I can see that happening.
He understands his political capital this time. He's in charge. It is his party. He moved the needle in a direction that hadn't been moved in a long time with minority voters, Hispanic voters, the working class. honestly, I think we're catering a little bit too much in some cases to especially organized labor at some, listen, I want to cater to the working class American. Organized labor's interest in specific spaces is not always in the best interest of working class Americans. And I know that sounds insane. Dan, organize it. It's the whole Mansur Olson concentrated interest and diffuse cost. Just because something may work for the steel industry in some small segment doesn't mean it works for workers across the country in the car industry that rely on steel. However, he gets it. He has moved the country in a more populist direction. He has moved the party in a more populist direction. Folks, this guy gets it. I'm telling you, he understands politics like no politician in our lifetime. I mean personal politics. I want you to listen to this. When even insane leftists at MSNBC like Stephanie Rule are acknowledging what I've repeatedly told you about Trump, I'm not name dropping anything. That's stupid and you sound lame. But I'm telling you, having known President Trump for a while now, there isn't a person that understands personal politics like this guy. That does not change my view of politicians. Everything should be viewed as a spreadsheet. They're a +1 or a -1. But I'm not going to bullshit you either. Listen to me, and I think you know this. Tell me in the chat. Please tell me you get this. Just because I view the world like a spreadsheet, politicians, I don't get emotional about anyone. You can be the biggest asshole in politics, and believe me, a lot of people have been assholes to me. They do stuff that works for the conservative movement. I'll champion it. That's fine. You can't ignore the fact that establishing personal relationships with shows like this and others, that it does make it hard to just view it like a spreadsheet. This guy understands personal politics like no one else. This is Stephanie Rule from MSNBC. You want to talk about the art of political persuasion? What she's saying here is absolutely true. She doesn't like Donald Trump at all, but this is worth every second. She talks about just dialing his phone number and he picks up. Guys, this happened before. I'm telling you, he will randomly call people for no reason. And it's like the craziest thing. Listen to this. I'll tell you another story on the other side of the break. Check this out.
And I'll tell you one other example. The day after Donald Trump had that crazy rally at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I rolled the dice, and I called him on the phone. And he answered.
Of course he did. Of course. What'd he say?
And I wasn't calling to chit-chat. I said, Mr. President, this is Stephanie Rule. You made a lot of comments last night, blah, 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 blah. And it was not an on-the-record conversation. Long story, so I'm not going to get into what he said. But I called for one reason. I said, you just said a whole bunch of public things. I'd like to sit down for an interview with you. We got 5 days before the election. So we didn't get into anything. There's nothing for me to report. I called him and said, I want an interview with you. Obviously, he said no. But my point is, I was able to get to him by dialing his phone. Right. Now, that might be completely ape shit, and you're like, I can't believe people know this guy's phone number. Yeah. But the reverse of that, if I were to want to connect with VP Harris or President Biden, there's 50 people between me and that. I could write a note that maybe could get to somebody, then through Pony Express and a pigeon, something might end up in a mailbox near them. And I called DJT to say, yo, can I have an interview?
And he
told
answered.
Me to go fuck myself, but I still was able to connect with him. Yeah.
But he still picked up.
Folks, these are lefties. Even the insane lefties are figuring it out right now. This guy has kicked your ass politically because he's relatable and likable. It does not change my imploring you to treat politicians like a spreadsheet at all. But I'm not a dumbass. If you like someone, it's just harder to criticize them. It just is. It's hard. I love my brothers. It's hard to criticize my brothers. When they do something wrong, I've got to do it, but it's hard. Donald Trump gets this better than anyone. It is amazing to me. I mean, like really stunning and astonishing being privileged to be in this space. And I do mean that, not in a woke way. It is a privilege and a God-given honor to have an audience like you guys. We're not even 20 minutes in. We got 120,000 on a pre-holiday week. I freaking love you guys so much. It is a great honor. But I'm going to tell you something. It is really shocking to me in this position. I deal with a lot of politicians and a lot of people who cares, like I said, name droppings for dipshits. How many politicians do not get this? They cannot figure out how to be even remotely likable. 90% of them, if not more, are total assholes with huge egos. There's one in particular. I'm not going to say it because it's not important. It's a spreadsheet thing, and it doesn't matter if you like him. I'm just telling you. I did a lot of work for this guy, and the guy could not be like, it's so frustrating. I'll give you a quick story about Donald Trump to show you this is true. Let's just say a good friend, and the friend calls me and is asking me about some advice about something that Donald Trump's got to make a decision on. And I said to the friend, you need to call him. And the friend was like, no way. Call the president-elect. That's insane. Like, he'll never answer. I said, some of you know this story. I said, trust me. Call him, and I promise you, he will pick up. And if he doesn't, he'll call you back either in an hour, 2 hours, or the next day. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Judge Bongino was right. Sure enough, this friend calls, picks up the phone. Friend calls me back 20 minutes later. I can't believe it. Picked up the phone, and he was so nice. I told you. If the friend's watching, you know what I'm talking about. And the thing he got done. Because that's who he is. He's the most likable guy. This isn't a throwaway segment. You want to know how Donald Trump got this whole pocket of influencers? Because he was a really good guy with a good agenda and he understood personal politics, period. All right, I got to get to some bad news next. We talked about some good stuff, the transition, the art of personal politics, how this stuff works, makes it difficult to criticize people if they like you. He also sends you tweets signed, like he prints them out. Thank you for that. It's the kind of guy he is. This freaking CR, this budget they are proposing, is the biggest double-barreled middle finger the conservatives I've seen in a long time. I am not into Republican on Republican political violence. However, Speaker Johnson, we're back to the spreadsheet here. This is not even a -1. This CR is a -100. This is really bad. And if you let this thing go through, there are going to be a lot of upset people. Your political bank account is going to be drained. Capital, I'm talking about. Political capital bank account. Please, this is a mess. I'll just give you a couple lowlights and a couple congressmen who've been speaking out about this thing because this thing is a horror show. Let me take a quick break and we'll get back to that. Blackout coffee. Be awake, not woke. Have a hot, fresh, bold, never bitter. Actually, this is water today. I don't want to cheat on you. I share that. But it's almost always blackout coffee. Blackout coffee. Have the cinnamon French toast. You don't like the cinnamon French toast? Say, I don't like French toast. You like blueberry? Have the blueberry crumble. I like pie, but I like dark chocolate better. Blackout coffee's got a dark chocolate flavor too. They use premium grade coffee beans. It makes the coffee bold, but never bitter. A lot of people don't even know what premium grade coffee tastes like because they're used to drinking this crap low grade coffee beans. That's garbage. That's junk. It's brown water. It's bitter. That's not for you. The official coffee of the Dan Bongino Show and the Bongino Army is what? Blackout coffee. They ship within 48 hours of roasting. The flavor's incredible. It's fresh. It's bold. Do me a favor. Pick it up. Make this the official coffee of the Bongino Army. The owner of the company loves America a lot too, which helps me, but he's committed to really good coffee. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino. See what I'm talking about. They're the real deal. It's time to quit drinking woke corporate junk coffee every morning. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino. Use coupon code Bongino for 20% off your first order. Make America great again. Make coffee great again. Make the switch to Blackout Coffee. You're going to love it. Thank you, Blackout Coffee. We appreciate it. Folks, this CR, this continuing resolution, which would be a revolution in even more government spending, is a total disaster. On the spreadsheet front, where we think about politicians as spreadsheets, what is this bill? It is an absolute train wreck. We've got Doge coming up. This would basically fund the government through March 14th into next year. Obviously, The bill is a complete abomination and a train wreck. There are no highlights. There are a ton of lowlights. I picked out two. I mean, obviously, in addition to the massive amount of spending, there are no government cuts in this thing at all. Why we would pass this thing, I have absolutely no idea. Shut it down if you have to. There is no way we should fund this thing. Gabe Kaminsky points out in his tweet that the funding bill includes a 1-year extension on the State Department's Global Engagement Center. Global Engagement Center, you may be saying, what the hell is that? Well, what has two thumbs and can explain it to you? This cat right here. The Global Engagement Center was basically the censorship branch of the State Department. Why would we fund that into next year? I don't know, because you didn't read the bill. I have no idea. Kaminsky's got the section of it right there. Title 3, Foreign Affairs, Global Engagement Center extension. This thing needs to be abolished immediately. You like being censored? You hearing all these stories now? Facebook and Google are all showing up at Mar-a-Lago. Let me just say to the Trump transition team, listen, man, I'm your friend. I think you know that, but I'm also a realist, and I'm a pretty good guy for advice, and the Bongino army was there for you. Now you got to be there for us. Unless you can get a commitment from these guys to cut the bullshit, they should not be welcome at Mar-a-Lago. Facebook is still censoring. Google is still censoring. It's all bullshit. They're just afraid of regulation. I saw Cernovich put something out this morning with some names of people who he says were censored. I'm not sure if they were or weren't. I can tell you our Facebook page got crushed. I don't whine about it, but ladies and gentlemen, you can tell by the money. You can tell by the money. When your Facebook page reaches a lot of people, it makes a lot of money from ad revenue. Ours has been sliced in half. I don't give a shit about the money. That's not the point. The point is the reach of my page has been crushed by Facebook. We were the #1 conservative Facebook page in the world. They annihilated us. This is bullshit. Now we're funding the Global Engagement Center? What the hell are we doing? Whose dumbass idea was that? I thought President Trump just won a massive mandate. It's his party now. 90+% of Republicans approve of what's happening in this transition. And we're funding this shit, Bill? Here's a guy I'm really starting to like, this Congressman Burleson. He was on Newsmax. He was pushing back against this absolute shit CR. Speaker Johnson, again, this is just a spreadsheet for me. I'm not your enemy, okay? But I am the enemy of bad shit. This is really, really stupid. There's also, by the way, a carve-out for Obamacare in there because Obamacare sucks so bad. Members of Congress don't want to be in it, so they get to pull themselves out of Obamacare. I thought Obamacare was great. Not for members of Congress. Here's Burleson saying, hey, we just won. Don't we have a mandate? Why are we pushing through this shit bill? Check this out.
I was frustrated before I came here. Now I'm more frustrated that I'm here and I see how horrific and how much of a disaster our fiscal situation is, and the lack of appetite to actually do anything about it is disgusting to me. And so I expected more from my Republican colleagues. I expect more from my speaker to be the conservative that I thought that he was. But instead, we're going to push through, a hundreds of $billion package that's going to add more debt to our deficit to our debt, and we're going to, continue this reckless process. Look, we complained about Nancy Pelosi dropping thousands of pages of an omnibus bill before Christmas. How is this any different?
Producer Jim just noted, too, Congress gave themselves a raise in this. I'm not interested in giving these guys and women a raise. Why would we give them a raise? A raise for what? Like, well, we got to make the job more attractive. Really? You got to make the job more attractive? Thousands of people run for Congress every year so you can have people kiss their ass all day with lobbyists. I think they'll be fine. Burleson's right. Why are we catering? I get what you're afraid of. They're afraid of after the Trump election, what they've been afraid of for the last 20 years. You guys in the chat know what it is? They're afraid of the media is going to say we shut the government down. The media is going to say we're starving grandma. Folks, the media is going to say that anyway. It doesn't matter. Nobody listens to these idiots. Only 30% of America, according to that Gallup poll or whatever it was, trust the media. It doesn't matter. We're the media now. We should not be. I get you're not going to get everything you want right now. I understand that. Trump has not been sworn in yet. The new Congress isn't there yet. We still don't have the Senate. I get it. But my gosh, at least put up a fight against this. Are we serious about preventing this inevitable bankruptcy of the United States of America or not? Here's Chip Roy, one of the few consistent voices on cutting government spending, saying exactly right. Folks, we are going to have to be honest with the American people about our natural trajectory towards a bankruptcy cliff. There is a lot of stuff that's going to have to go. Government goodies are not government goodies. There's money stolen from you by the government and given to other people. Here's Chip Roy calling them out, saying, hey, man, this is all bullshit. They're all just pretending. These people don't want to cut spending. Listen to this.
The conference needs to decide whether we're actually serious about spending. And they talk about, well, we got to do mandatory spending reform and bend the curve. But we just voted on a $200 billion shift of dollars in Social Security that's going to shorten the time when Social Security expires or goes bankrupt. We're just fundamentally unserious about spending. And as long as you got a blank check, you can't shrink government. If you can't shrink government, you can't live free.
Do you plan on supporting the Speaker in January?
Listen to me. Bongino Army, friends, colleagues, some of you watch my show. We just had a massive seismic shift election, a landslide by any objective measure, considering the political winds of the time. Donald Trump won because of 2 or 3 big issues: the border, inflation, probably public safety, and a couple of other things you can throw in there. But there's zero question, based on exit polling, that inflation had a ton to do with it. People said, I don't want inflation. I want Donald Trump back when inflation was under 2%. What causes inflation? Anyone know in the chat? It's not hard. Government prints money to make up for the shortfall it doesn't have. When it prints money, it goes into the economy and drives up prices. This isn't hard. If you helicopter drop a bunch of money on an island that only has $100 and you drop 1,000, everything's going to cost more because there's now $1,100 chasing the products on the island. This isn't difficult. We have to start making the case in these like Ross Perot, like half an hour commercials on TV to America, how the government taking your money, spending it, and then printing more when it doesn't have enough money to take from you is causing the inflation crisis, and it's going to have to stop. This isn't a hard argument to make. They just don't want to do it. No more spending more than we take in. It's going to take time, but we've got to start somewhere. Every single freaking bill, omnibus, CRs, budget bills, every single department bill comes, oh, you know what? We'll kick the can down the road. We'll get them next time. We won't get them next time. We're going to do it this time. Take a quick break. And I've got a conspiracy theory update. Our batting average, fellas, 1,000 is correct. Still, never wrong. I told you. Media people, every single time they call something a conspiracy theory, go out and bet on one of those betting sites on it. You'll make yourself millions. It's the craziest thing. How many times are you dipshits going to screw this up? How many times? How many times? Can you get one right? You would think by accident these assholes would get one right. Just one. What? These guys, so let me give you a little inside joke. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get off track. So because these guys are the production crew, they know I got to keep the show on a timeline because the radio show starts at noon and it's live. So there's no time to mess around here. So we've obviously got to pay for the show. So we have sponsors we love. We are capitalists, but it keeps the show free for you all, right? So if I'm not on track, Guy and Michael and Justin have these various ways to get me to read the spot. So I'm talking about the media, and he's, you know, would cheer everybody up. Maybe a package of Omaha steaks. That's crazy. That's the next one. That's amazing how you guys did that. And then they throw the thing on the screen, which I can see, which is a signal. Like, read the spot. You guys are getting good at this. You got that from Guy, though. Guy started that. He started it with Beam Dream. That's how he started. Omaha Steaks, the perfect gift to deliver comfort and joy to the ones you love with curated gift packages. Omaha Steaks consistently delivers unrivaled quality and taste. Hand-selected by master butchers from the finest grass-finished beef Extra age, flash frozen to peak flavor, delivered right to you. Tastes delicious. Deliver the perfect gift with 50% off. That's a huge savings at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code Bongino at checkout. Minimum purchase and restriction may apply. The steaks are amazing. The burgers are amazing. We love their food. Omaha Steaks makes it easy to shop with expertly crafted gift packages. Every steak is perfectly aged for maximum tenderness, hand cut by master butchers in the heartland, grass-fed, grain-finished beef with more marbling for exceptional flavor. It's a choice of steakhouses and professional chefs around the world. The fan-favorite filet mignons earn the coveted distinction of USDA certified tender. Give the gift of comfort and joy with Omaha Steaks. Go to omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide. Get unforgettable gifts and more. For an extra $30 off, use promo code Bongino at checkout. Minimum purchase may apply. It's 50% off at omahasteaks.com, OMAHA, and an extra $30 off with promo code Bongino at checkout. And our last sponsor today is MyPillow. Get some sleep. They're announcing their Christmas extravaganza. It's finally here. Get the season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. Won't last long. Get them while you can. The famous My Slippers haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Six-piece towel sets back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98 with hundreds of MyPillow products. There's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. Don't forget the Classic Collection pillows at wholesale pricing. For a standard pillow, only $14.88. Queen size $18.88. A king for just $1 more. Body pillows for just $29.98. Multi-use pillows $9.88. Go to mypillow.com or call 800-637-4982. Be sure to use promo code Dan to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets as low as $59.98. Six-piece towel sets $29.98, but that's not all. Extend their 60-day money-back guarantee now until March 1st, 2025, plus all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-637-4982 and use promo code Dan. Thanks, MyPillow. All right, back to the show. Conspiracy theory update again. The batting average remains. Look at this. I'm not even a lefty. Look at this. Look at this Will Clark-like swing. Remember Sweetness? Will Clark played for the Giants. Look at this. Look at this. You like that? Look at that. Nice and smooth. Elbow in, right to the ball, eyes down there. You like that? Batting average is a freaking 1,000. Even Will Clark never batted 1,000. Wasn't even close. The great Ted Williams. Wasn't he the last guy to hit 400? George Brett got close. 1,000. New York Times. Remember when the New York Times told us the Aurora, Colorado gang takeover story? That is a false story. They didn't say that. Put it up on the screen, kids. How the false story of a gang takeover in Colorado reached Donald Trump. Holy shit. Can you guys get a freaking story right ever? Jonathan Weissman at the New York Times, Stuart Thompson, anyone? Stuart Thompson says we live in an alternate reality bubble. Dumbass Stuart, have you ever put a reflective object in front of you and said, man, maybe we live in an alternate reality? How the false story of a gang takeover in Colorado reached Trump? Fox News from yesterday about the gang takeover in Aurora, Colorado, which, by the way, a police supervisor came out today and is absolutely sure this is gang-related. Check this out.
Okay, Aurora, Colorado now. This is a live look now. The sun is up there in that state, and police have now detained 14 people and reported armed home invasion. That's the same apartment complex where a lot of people were complaining about the armed Venezuelan gang members roaming the halls. Reports indicate that investigators said that several suspects entered the apartment and had two people inside. The suspects then reportedly moved the victims to another apartment complex, or rather another unit on the property where police said they were found threatened and bound.
Can someone send that story, please? Bongino Army members, I have a task for you, please. It's not an order. I don't give orders. A request. Can you please send this link over to Stuart Thompson to the show and ask him to explain the alternate reality the New York Times lives in? They can never, ever get a story right. I have never seen an outlet claiming to be full of journalists that is so stupid. Everything they tell you is bullshit. Do you understand this? Everything they tell you is bullshit. Here's another one. Remember when we were told Joe Biden has nothing to do with these weaponized government prosecutions of Donald Trump? That's a conspiracy theory. You guys are making this up. Joe Biden's an innocent victim. He said he was hands off on all of this. Batting average 1,000. Conspiracy theory update. Now, breaking news. We find out that the Fani Willis Nathan Wade, Georgia prosecution of Donald Trump, that there were meetings at the White House. I thought we were told that was a conspiracy theory. Amazing how these conspiracy theories just keep piling up and turned out to be not conspiracy theories, but conspiracy facts. Take a look.
Georgia prosecutor in the Trump election meddling case testifies before the House Judiciary Committee. That's Nathan Wade. And he admitted he met with White House staff on several occasions while working on the investigation that was led by Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis. He also says he had to brush up on his knowledge of racketeering law. So that continues.
Folks, watch. Smooth. We make contact every time. Every time. Bunts, home runs, triples, doubles. And we told you. Why did we tell you that was happening? Because a bunch of conservative sleuths on Twitter, X, and True Social putting out there was a substantial body of evidence that there were visits between the White House and the Georgia prosecution. But of course, the Stuart Thompson New York Times told you probably that was a conspiracy theory too, because that's the best they can do. And yet another conspiracy theory update. I don't know if you guys remember this story, but this is a story sensitive to my heart that got a lot of your attention when I initially reported it. You remember this goofball, Cassidy Hutchinson? If you don't remember who she is, she used to work in the Trump White House. So the January 6th sham Hollywood-produced movies going on with Benny Thompson, Crying Adam Kinzinger, and these other losers, Liz Cheney and others. And this crazy story comes out from Cassidy Hutchinson claiming that Donald Trump tried to commandeer the presidential limo and did like some jujitsu move on the limo driver on January 6th because they wouldn't take him to the Capitol. Now, I should have done this, guys. I should have had you guys pull this. I don't know if you remember the segment I did on this, but she's saying she heard this story from a Secret Service agent detailed to the White House who told her this story, and that the time, the guy who was the agent in charge of Trump's detail, and the names are important here. The agent in charge of detail was Bob Engel. The agent in the White House that the allegations where the story flowed through was a guy by the name of Tony Ornato, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I know both of these guys for a long time. One was a White Plains guy when I was in New York. We worked together all the time. We worked together on the detail. The other guy was also up in that New York area, a New York type agent, worked with him forever. I've known these guys forever. I also know people that know these guys. What are you looking at? What's wrong? Oh, he's like staring at me all weird. He's doing some like Jedi mind trick on me. The guy in the limo was Bobby Engel. If there was an attack on the driver by Donald Trump, doing some jujitsu move and some kind of triangle choke or rear naked choke on the driver, Bobby Engel would have seen it. Numerous sources told me this story is bullshit. Donald Trump never attacked the driver. There was never an argument about going up to Capitol Hill on January 6th. This is totally made up. Now, again, Stuart Thompson's alternate reality. Reality was this show. The alternate reality were those assholes. You're at least 2 years ahead of this story. I told you it was bullshit. Now we find out that Cassidy Hutchinson and Liz Cheney may have been engaged in a back and forth kind of collusion thing here. And that may be the genesis of this fake UFC fight limo story. Here's John Solomon on this exact thing. And let me tell you something. Liz Cheney and Cassidy Hutchinson could find themselves in a lot of trouble if the Department of Justice wants to look into this. This could be witness tampering. Check this out.
Administration Subcommittee on Oversight, the committee that's been investigating January 6th, just released its final report for this year. It accuses Liz Cheney of tampering with the witness, Cassidy Hutchinson, trying to influence her testimony. It formally recommends that the Federal Bureau of Investigation criminally investigate Liz Cheney when President Trump takes over on January 20th. One of several bombshell revelations in here. The report also says that Jack Smith colluded with the January 6th committee, but that some of the evidence has not yet been turned over to Congress. They're demanding that that evidence be turned over, something that might happen when the new administration takes over. But a really significant and rare moment for Congress to actually suggest that one of its members should be criminally prosecuted for tampering with a witness in an official government proceeding, a House hearing, the January 6th House hearing. As you remember, Cassidy Hutchinson was the bombshell witness for the Democrats, claimed that Donald Trump tried to commandeer the presidential limousine, take it to the Capitol. We now know that wasn't true. The Secret Service had already told Liz Cheney it wasn't true. She presented the evidence anyways to the American public, tried to give it credence. There's some other testimony where Cassidy Hutchinson talks about a document she claims she wrote it. She didn't. Someone else wrote it. All of that is laid out in this report. But the headline is Liz Cheney could be facing an FBI criminal investigation based on this information that Congress has transmitted this morning.
Folks, if you're bored, only if you're bored, go back and listen to my interview with President Trump that I did, about a week before the election up in New York. I went up to Trump Tower. We cover this at the end, and Donald Trump laughed at this story. And do you remember what he said? You folks in the chat, you listen. You remember what he said? Trump said, I should have told you the story was true. It makes me look like a badass. I took out 2 highly trained Secret Service agents in the front seat with some jujitsu move and commandeered a limo. Like, damn, that's pretty badass for a guy who's not young. He's not in his 40s. He's not in his 30s anymore. The story was bullshit. I know all these guys. I know all the players. It didn't happen. Post-millennial. The House report that came out about this yesterday, by the way, that's where all this is coming from, recommends the FBI investigate Liz Cheney over alleged witness tampering. Yes, more. Kylo freaking Ren style. More. Liz Cheney, ladies and gentlemen, I have zero doubt, knew this story was suspect at best. Now do you see why this January 6th committee deleted, a terabyte of data? What was in that data? Was there some back and forth over the veracity of this story? Like, hey, man, I'm not sure this Cassidy Hutchinson story is the most reliable thing. And they ran with it anyway? You want to see why they're afraid of Kash Patel? Listen to this, but I want you to pay very close attention to the end. This was recorded a while ago. Kash knows this January 6th committee knows about the pipe bomb. They probably know the identity of the person. They know about the feds in the crowd. And they know about all the lying that went on about the national security, the UFC fight in a limo, all of it. And magically, a terabyte of data disappeared. Listen to the end of this. It's really important. Check this out.
The other thing that I put in the book that I recommended the boss to do hits on this. We need a 24/7 declassification office. Yes. Rolling papers out 24/7. And not just like JFK and not just 9/11. You're talking to the guy that's read the whole 9/11 report and those 7 pages that people talk about. But I believe, as like the guy who's an intel guy who believes wholeheartedly in the classified system of information, I believe that it has been over-abused by these corrupt officials in government to hide the truth and enact more corrupt activities. So what I told the boss was like, I don't care what you call it, truth and reconciliation, whatever, come up with a better name. But every agency and department literally submits all of their documentation. And I believe you could get half out. Half. I still think the other half needs to remain classified. I'll always argue that it does serve a purpose. But like you're seeing in these documents in the Jack Smith case, they're just redacting stuff that they lied about, that they broke the law.
All that stuff. Terabytes of information, ladies and gentlemen. Classified, gone, disappeared. You see why they're so afraid of Kash Patel? You see why my golden rule of policy and appointments matters? Always gauge the effectiveness of a policy or an appointment or some judge selection or FBI director by the reaction of your political enemies. If they freak out, it's for a reason. It's not an accident, man. That's why they don't want him in there. They don't want him looking into this. I'm not letting any of this go, folks. We are the media now. The identity of the pipe bomber on January 6th is going to shock your soul. Maybe not the name you made it, but who the person was and was working with. The extent of federal involvement in the insurrection is going to shock you to your core. It's the biggest scandal of our time. Stuart Thompson and the dumbass New York Times will continue to be 5-6 years behind these stories because they're only interested in covering them up. I'm not letting any of this go. On a bit of a lighter note, we're the media now. I want to play this clip of Van Jones. Van Jones, a devout leftist. Once in a while, he'll say something that makes some modicum of sense, but I don't, whatever. I don't even care. But I do care about this because I'll bet, I don't want to say this I don't mean this in any kind of a nasty tone, but folks, the media environment is changing. You need to understand these terms. If you don't, you're going to be left behind. Live streaming, VOD, OTT, over the top, cable broadcast. They're not all the same thing. This isn't a whole media lesson today, but these younger kids, anyone basically 25 years or younger, Justin, tell me if I'm crazy. You're the only one maybe not, but you're the one who fits that criteria best right now. They're not watching cable news anymore, folks. They're just not. Justin said correct if you didn't hear him. They're not watching it. They're watching YouTube. They're watching Twitch. They're watching Rumble. They're watching X. They're on Snapchat. They're watching TikTok, and a lot of it. You can watch a whole movie on TikTok in 3-minute clips. I'm serious. You can watch Moneyball, the whole movie it's in clips, but you just keep scrolling, and it'll go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. It's the most amazing thing. Live streaming is what you are watching right now. Well, I shouldn't say that. You may be VOD too in an hour. If you are watching at 11:49 and 19 seconds Eastern time right now, you are watching a live stream. It is a live broadcast over the internet. It's not on a cable channel. It's not on a broadcast channel, okay? That's what a live stream is. Live streaming is the future. What does that have to do with Van Jones? Van Jones is stunned that the Trump team knew about live streaming and the Democrats didn't. This is it. Look at it right now. We have 100, this is the week before Christmas. The big house in Michigan, how many people does it fit? 100,000? The football stadium? We have 141,600 people here at noon, right before noon, watching this show. You can't ignore this audience. Van Jones and the Democrats didn't know anything about it. They don't know the other names in this either. Here, watch this. We are sneaking up on these guys. They are still stuck in yesterday's technology. Check this out.
I got a teenage son. I asked him, who are the most influential people in the world today? I'm thinking to myself, he's going to say Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z. He says, Kai Cent, Aiden Ross, Jinxie, and Sketch. I don't know who he's talking about. I said, what platforms are you on? He goes, I'm on Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. I said, that sounds like you need to go to the hospital. What are these platforms? I'm telling you guys, the mainstream has become fringe, and the fringe has become mainstream. There are platforms, there are people out there that are getting 14 million streams, and we're on cable news getting 1 or 2 million. And so there is a whole world out there. Kellyanne Conway, I hate to agree with her, but I do a lot of times. Donald Trump understood that, and we didn't.
Yes, sir, he did. You caught that, right? Van Jones and the Democrats know so little about how to get a message out on the left, and I applaud him for at least acknowledging it. He's not hiding here. That they called Kai Cenat Kai Cent. If you don't know who Kai Cenat is, you know nothing about live streaming. Now, you may say, well, Kai Cenat is basically an influencer out there. He has a show. It's ridiculously popular. He's one of the few guys who will beat us on a live stream. We were number one last night and the night before. We had beat Kai. Kyle beat us a lot, though. Who's Kai Cenat? He is a really funny kid who has a show, young man, and he gets millions of people watching that thing and hundreds of thousands on live stream. If you don't know that, get the hell out of politics. I'm sorry. He has an audience and you don't. And it's not Kai Cent. It's Kai Cenat. Who's Aiden Ross? Same thing. A massive young influencer with a huge audience. If you don't know who he is, get out of politics. There's something significant about Aiden Ross. What's significant? Donald Trump did his show, a month before the election? And 500,000 streamers tuned in. I think it was like the third or fourth biggest live stream of the entire year. That's who Aiden Ross is. They don't even know who he is. Jinxie, these are all gamers. Then I love he doesn't even know the platforms. Kick, you don't know what Kick is? Twitch, Rumble, you've never heard of Rumble. The biggest live streamer in the world, and 3 of the top 10 are on Rumble. Bannon, Crowder, and me. If you don't know anything about Rumble, get the hell out of politics. We have blindsided these people on technology, and Donald Trump gets it. The left is totally behind. They really believe people like Rachel Maddow and MSNBC and Stuart Thompson at the New York Times are controlling the dialogue. Why would you believe that? You keep getting your ass kicked on messages, on political national elections. The entire political climate of the country is changing because you don't understand how to get a message out. They still believe in stuff like this. You got that Rachel Maddow clip. Hat tip the great Maze Moore, a great follow on X, MazeMoore, a really great account. Here's Maze Moore. Here's Rachel Maddow. They believe this shit. Here she is. You're going to hear her in 2016 touting a fake news poll out of South Carolina before they got their ass kicked in that election. Then you're going to hear her in 2024 touting another fake news poll out of Iowa. You want to know why the left believes shit like this? Because they don't know who Kai Cenat, Aiden Ross, and Jinxie are. That's why. They have no idea what's coming in this new era of media consumption. Check this out.
Hot off the presses, we are breaking this news right here, right now. You're going to think I'm kidding, but the presidential race appears to be tied in South Carolina. Yes, I said South Carolina, not North Carolina. South Carolina. And that's why lots of people had strong reactions when the Des Moines Register and Selzer Iowa poll was posted last night. This pollster, and she's got her track record, and this is out of a state where nobody saw it coming.
Why would you believe stupid shit like that? Because you're consuming yesterday's media that only has a small sliver of America as a dedicated eyeball audience. The rest of America are elsewhere. They're on Rumble. They're on Twitch. They're on YouTube. They're on Truth. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm not trying to coach you on how to be better, but you can continue to shit on Rumble all you want. The bottom line is we're winning and you're losing. Even Van Jones' kid is watching. You think it's an accident that now close to 142,000 people are here? Ladies and gentlemen, it's freaking lunchtime. We're not even on in prime time. You may say, 142,000 people. Dan, CNN will get 800,000 at night. You ever see our VOD numbers, video on demand? In other words, people who watch the show after it's live, they're over 1 million every single night. That doesn't even count Apple and Spotify. And it's not just us. We're the media now. Here's a great clip by Michael Schellenberger. People are catching on. That nobody believes these people anymore. Talking about this drone story and why nobody trusts the government anymore or the Rachel Maddows of the world because they constantly lie about everything. Check this out.
Last week, you had both DoD spokesperson John Kirby and Mayorkas, the head of DHS, insist emphatically that there had been no drone flyovers over U.S. military bases. Well, that night, actually on Friday night and then Saturday morning, there was a flyover of the Wright-Patterson Air Base in Ohio. And in fact, it's been widely reported. So it's curious why they said that. Yesterday, then Kirby came out and said, well, of course, we all know that there had been these drone flyovers. He also said on Friday to Martha McCallum, he said, Kirby said, that they were investigating these cases. And then yesterday, he said that they had closely examined 5,000 cases. Are we to be led to believe that they examined 5,000 cases? 5,000, it's actually 6,000 according to FBI, but 6,000 people were interviewed, asked where they were, what direction they were pointed in. It just strains credulity for them to say these things. It really undermines the trust. And that's why you see conspiracy theories emerging into the vacuum.
I'm going to try to be helpful today. Unlike the losers and morons in the media, rushing information out turned out to be wrong, already telling you a story rather than the story. And I'm going to help you out with some actual research on these school shooting things if you're a parent. There's a little bit of time on that, not much. And then I have to get to some huge updates on this January 6th IG report because Benny Thompson's looking for a pardon, the January 6th committee chair. There's a reason. The ultimate sleep refresh for the New Year's, Beam's Dream Powder. Get up to 45% off for a limited time at shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino at checkout. Got that, a lot more for you today. Also, don't believe anything coming from the government right now about this drone story either. Not going to spend a ton of time on that. You get the point. But there's an update from Trump yesterday at the presser. Hey, what you do online is not private. Data brokers are tracking and creating a profile of your online activities, your spending habits, even your values and beliefs. In the U.S., they're legally allowed to sell that info to whoever wants to buy it. But there's a way to push back and hold on to your values, privacy, autonomy, and freedom with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN, 100% of your online activities rerouted to secure encrypted servers. It makes it impossible for internet providers to know what you're doing online. ExpressVPN also hides your IP address so data brokers can't use that number to build a profile and sell it. ExpressVPN is easy to use. It takes just one click, works on all of your devices, phones, tablets, smart TVs, desktops, and more. Or you can have it on up to 8 devices at once, so you can give the gift of privacy and freedom to your whole family. Right now, you can get an extra 3 months for free when you use my special link. So go to expressvpn.com/Bongino and get 3 extra months of ExpressVPN. That's expressvpn.com/Bongino. Go today. All right, fellas, let's go. Folks, here's what I mean. The first telling of an event is almost always going to be wrong. We had this school shooting yesterday in Madison, Wisconsin, an obvious tragedy. Report came out. There were 5 people that were killed. Then there were 3 people that were killed. And then you've got this police chief who goes out there and he doesn't want to say the gender or any kind of identifying characteristics of the suspect in the case, which of course fosters a lot of people's gets their minds going on. Well, why would they hide that? This is the kind of stuff, and this is the main reason behind the invocation of the Bongino rule, which is just wait before drawing any conclusions. Talk about a story all you want, but I'm telling you, the first telling of events is almost always wrong, even from eyewitnesses. No less eyewitnesses talking to someone else that's talking to the media. I want you to listen to this, just quick 30 seconds from the police chief. And this was very suspicious from the start. Why would you not say the gender or sex of the suspect in the case? This was very bizarre. Check this out.
Here are the details. Today at 10:57 a.m., our team was called to the Abundant Life Christian School in reference to an active shooter. We know that 3 people are dead, including the suspect shooter. We know that the suspect shooter was a teenage student who attended the school. At this time, we're not releasing the age or gender of the student or any other identifying remarks about the student.
All right. I know they're dealing with a lot, but that just started to, again, get people questioning if the American media and other people have put so much pressure on police officials that right now, even police investigations where information valuable to the public is being held back because they're afraid it's going to be perceived like another Nashville incident. The answer is the facts aren't a problem. Just get them out there. The first telling of a story is almost always wrong. Shock, stress, they distort reality. People see things and hear things that aren't there. It is the genesis of the Bongino rule. It's why I try not to get emotional about stories, tragic or not. I try to just get the story out there, put a little color to it, give you an opinion on it, so you know this is the home for truth for you. I'm trying to get out some helpful information. So, for those of you out there who have kids in schools, you're a school administrator, an SRO, school resource officer, or police officer. Again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because tragically these things do tend to happen. I wish they didn't. There are problems. Of course, the left's creating a story. It's all about the guns, as if guns haven't existed for 200 years. No one ever goes, well, why didn't we do this when there were guns around in the 50s? Why? Oh, I don't know. I don't want to ask those questions because they're inconvenient. Maybe because we had families and churches and we didn't have the left, assailing our culture every day. I don't know. Don't ask those questions. They're really inconvenient. I'm going to get to that part in a second, but this Secret Service analysis, I know they've been going through a rough time with some terrible tactics and really screwing up with Trump, but they've done some really good things. They did part of this when I was there. This is the National Threat Assessment Center. You'll see it at the bottom, NTAC. This is a study they did with the Secret Service on school shootings and targeted violence. Folks, the link to it is in the newsletter, bongino.com/newsletter. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything. We don't spam your inbox. If you go there, you will see this link. I strongly encourage you to download it. There's about 10 bullet takeaways. I'll just go through some of them really quick. If you have a kid in school, these are the things they notice studying just a bevy of incidents just like this, targeted violence at schools. Attackers usually had multiple motives. Wait, go back to the first one. You're already zipping past. Attackers usually had multiple motives. The most common involving a grievance with classmates. Not surprising. There was usually some trauma in the classroom with these kids, bullying and things like that. I mean, everyone who's bullied is going to go up and shoot a school up. No, but this is an issue. Most attackers use firearms. They were often acquired from the home. This is something I talked about yesterday. I am a big believer in the Second Amendment. I'm also a big believer in personal responsibility and securing your firearms. We'll go through a couple more here. Most attackers had experienced psychological, behavioral, developmental symptoms. Again, the kind of thing that if a child is going through some issues independently of being bullied and ends being bullied too, you got to be careful, okay? It can tip over the edge, especially if you don't have a good support group. Half the attackers had interest in violent topics, and you'll see there's more if you just want to scroll through quickly the rest of them, social stressors and things like this. Folks, this report is out there for you to read. Can't recommend it enough. Is it some dispositive final analysis? Like, if you hit all 10 of these, you are definitely going to be a school shooter. It is not. However, just like when the Secret Service goes out and investigates people who threaten the president, we have to designate them by a class 1, class 2, or class 3. Really dangerous. We do it this same way. We look at bullet points. I'm not going to say what they are because I don't want to give anybody any ideas. But if you meet 8 out of 10 of them, then yeah, you could be kind of an issue. So check it out. I hope it's helpful. I'm candidly, honestly, genuinely trying to help here and not tell you bullshit stories about it's the guns. There have been guns around forever. People going and parroting this stupid left-wing narrative. Guns have been around since the invention of this thing called gunpowder. Wow, look, it explodes. It's incredible that this has only been a problem since we've had this attack on boys, this culture war in America. I'm not sitting here telling you that access to firearms for people in trouble isn't an issue. I just said to you 5 minutes ago, even less, that yes, if you have a firearm in the house with a child who's troubled, some 13-year-old boy or girl in trouble, then, and we know the shooter was a girl now, but since that's been clear, but then it's your job to secure the firearm. I'm not naive to that. You see what honesty looks like? Not the left. Here we go already with the gun did it story, which is fascinating because when the United Healthcare CEO was murdered with a firearm, with an actual firearm, did you notice the story wasn't about the gun? I thought they were against gun violence. What was the story, guys? You remember evil healthcare CEOs. Hey, guy shot him in the back. You see left-wingers getting tattoos of the guy with the gun shooting him. So left-wingers, go yourselves. Nobody buys your bullshit. You're telling people a story, not the story. If you thought it was about guns, you would have made it about freaking guns too when the United Healthcare guy got shot in the back. But you love that shooting. You didn't give a shit about the gun. So you could take that and shove it up your ass. You're full of shit and you know it. You just want law-abiding Americans. You want to disarm them, and you saw an opportunity for us story rather than the story, just like you saw an opportunity for an attack on free market healthcare last week. You didn't care that a guy used a gun. But here, of course, is Frank Fugazi, the infamous 8-8 loser. Fugazi's in the chat. Guy's a complete D-bag. Here he is, of course, on, MSNBC or whatever he does this commentary. Now, I want you to notice the hypocrisy in what he says here. He gives, in the beginning, what seems like some reasonable answer. Well, we should look at this, look at this. And then he goes right to the gun at the end and says one of the dumbest things you'll ever hear. We've got to look at these laws with kids and criminals with guns. Folks in the chat, quickly, yes or no? Aren't there already laws that prevent young kids and criminals from getting guns? Guys, I'm not sure. Any of you guys firearms owners? Michael, Justin? I'm reasonably confident, I'm not too sure. I don't know a lot about a lot. That if you're a kid or you're a criminal, that there are already things called laws that will prevent you from getting a firearm. Check this out.
You'll have certain sides saying it's all mental health, and we need to get better at that. And you know what? That's true, but it's not all mental health. We'll have people say we need to lock down schools more and have many armed officers all over a school. There have been numerous cases where there have been armed officers, and they didn't get there fast enough. And so that's not the issue. Guns continue to be the issue, and particularly access to guns from people who should not have them, including criminal actors and young people who should not have access. So until we address all of these issues together and acknowledge the role of guns, we're not going to see significant change.
Now, I just want this on the record here. Did you notice these left-wing media outlets avoided the gun conversation altogether when the United Healthcare CEO was shot in the back in the middle of a Manhattan street, Manhattan, which has some of the strictest gun laws in the world? Did you notice suspiciously that nobody seemed to give a shit about guns and that thing? Why? Because the left only cares. I'm like a little too wired for today's show. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's blackout coffee or me being pissed off because I love the Second Amendment and the ability to protect myself. The left doesn't give a shit about guns. Do you understand that? It is a proxy argument. They don't care. If the left cared about guns, Joe Biden would not have pardoned his son for a freaking gun crime, dipshits on the left. They don't care about guns. They don't? No, they don't. Anyone in the chat remember when I did this whole spiel on the Second Amendment? Because I love the ability to defend yourself. It's a God-given right, okay? Why do the left go after guns? Here's your answer. It has nothing to do with the gun. The left needs you dependent on the state. A firearm gives you the ability to stand your ground and hold your own and protect yourself and your family independent of the state. They don't want that. It's the same reason they go after healthcare. They don't hate healthcare CEOs. They hate the fact that they don't control healthcare and the healthcare CEO is in the way. That's it. The gun is in the way of having you totally dependent on the state. Folks, if there was, you see the freaking gavel here, you know this. If there was ever a gavel drop, Judge Bongino has ruled, you need to trust me on this. They don't care about guns. How do I know that? Because a lot of these leftist celebrities and rich people have guns. If they cared about the gun, I'm like, oh my gosh, the gun, we got to get rid of that. It's so evil. They wouldn't have the evil device in the house themselves. That's not what's going on here. The gun is a symbol of freedom. It's a symbol of a detachment from the government. You can protect yourself. The police are not there to protect you. They're there to enforce the law. They don't like that. They don't like that. Whenever they can tell you a story, they will. So does anyone find it even remotely curious that when the gun was used in Manhattan, the narrative was completely different? Here's a Washington Post article about the slaying of the United Healthcare CEO with a firearm in one of the most liberal cities in America with strict gun laws. Notice the headline. We've got to put up the headline. It says we got to get the guns out of the hands of criminals in Manhattan. No, not that one. The other one. Yeah. That's Justin's confused. He's like, that's it. Justin's like going through the computer like, I'm a mess. Here's the headline in the Washington Post. It's nothing to do with guns. Guy shot with a gun in Manhattan. And what's the headline? Deny and delay. The practices fueling anger at U.S. health issues. I thought it was the gun. Now it's practices fueling anger? Oh, practices like the government doesn't run health care. The free market does and they don't like it, or outside of Obamacare? Anger, practices fueling anger, like murdering a dude in the middle of the street. Notice how the Washington Post headline here. This headline has nothing to do with gun control. Nothing. Because they're looking for a story. So, school shooting in Madison, it doesn't matter what the motive is, what happened, if the child is in trouble, there's a mental disorder, some sociopathological disorder. It doesn't matter. The story, the scumbag media comes in with right away. Scumbag media comes in with right away. Before they even know the story, a story they have in their head is, we've got to get rid of guns. Okay, what happened? School shooting. Fugazi and everyone else. We got to do something about the guns. Like what? Pass laws against kids having guns? Because we already have those. We already have those laws. Oh, no, more laws. Because that would have done better than the other laws. Nobody seems to. Bad guys don't. See, the thing about bad guys is bad guys don't. They're outlaws for a reason. They don't give a shit about the laws. Folks, the Stuart Thompson guy from the New York Times, who's going to become a constant theme in the show. This is what I'm talking about. By these people come in with a pre-existing rubric in their head about what a story's about before they know shit about the actual story. Stuart Thompson and others, school shooting. Wait, was it a white person? Was it a male? Was it a non-transgender person? The story's about the gun. That's it. It doesn't matter what happened in the event. All of that stuff is irrelevant to them. Healthcare CEO, evil, shot in the back. Do we make the story about the gun? No, I think there's a better story for us. We hate free market healthcare. We want the government in control. Let's talk about that instead of the gun. Yeah, but the other story's about the gun. Hey, Joe Biden just pardoned his kid for a gun crime. That's okay. He's a Democrat. This isn't a gun control story now. Here, you doubt me? Here's Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders probably do anything to take your guns. Far left communist radical. Commies love taking people's guns. Guns are what keep commies from taking over. So commies hate guns because the gun is in the way. Here's Bernie Sanders on one of the weekend shows talking about the United Healthcare CEO. Shot in the back by a guy in a liberal gun control city. You think you'd have this great opportunity, right? For your silly, stupid gun control narrative? Nope. Here's Bernie seeming to put the little button there. Like, guy was shot in the back and murdered. But? What do you mean, but? Guy was murdered in the street. Watch how they tell you a story, never the story. Check this out.
Elizabeth Warren obviously understands killing and murder and shooting somebody in the back is totally unacceptable. But what I think has happened in the last few months is that what you have seen rising up is people's anger at a health insurance industry which denies people the health care that they desperately need while they make billions and billions of dollars in profit.
Folks, there isn't a show out there that dissects the scumbags in the media better than this. It's the reason we're the #1 live stream. It's just a fact. And the Bongino army is growing by the day. When you learn to see, when you learn to dissect the entire media ecosystem and the fourth estate environment out there, you will never see the world the same way again. My goal with this show, so you know it's always been this way, was to give you an hour so you could listen to it in a car on a commute home, right? Was to, in that hour, make sure that your eyes are open all the time, that you are awake but not woke. Because once you learn to see the media for what it is and to see through the bullshit, I promise you will never see the world the same way again. You will notice this everywhere. The media doesn't care about guns. They care about control. Now do you get the tie-in from the two stories? They need to control you. What's the best way to do it? To control your health care. The United Healthcare CEO is in the way. So if he's murdered, we go, he's murdered, but don't make it about the gun. Make it about that. Now they see a school shooting in Madison. They know emotions are still hot. They can get people to hate firearms, even though there's millions upon millions of legal, law-abiding gun owners in the country. Guns don't go off by themselves. They're like, hey, it's an opportunity to get the gun out of the way so people have to rely on the government. It is always about control. Once you learn to see that, you will never, ever unsee it. I want to show you a video coming up next of this guy when Obamacare was passed. Obamacare, that has screwed up the used to be free market healthcare system. They broke the system completely. Guy gets murdered because of it, and yet they all walk away. They all walk away. Bernie Sanders and others, pretending they had nothing to do with this. Oh, he deserved to die. Watch. Always, always bring receipts on this show. Hey, what's your best gift this holiday season? Years or even decades off your appearance? Paula looks really young. Everybody always tells me that. You know what her secret is? Genucel. It's only 2 weeks left to get the Genucel jawline treatment with dual peptide and MDL technology. Genucel's most advanced ever. The jawline treatment not only helps tighten saggy jawlines, but plump the layers of the skin to help contour, define, and sculpt the jawline and neck area within minutes. People go abroad and spend thousands of dollars to get rid of sagging jawlines or double chins. They should try Genucel first because no one else has the technology. With Genucel's immediate effects, you can see tightening in minutes. And just in time for the Christmas and holiday season, save over 70% off Genucel's complete skincare package featuring the jawline treatment and Genucel's immediate effects. You'll even get Genucel XV wrinkle treatment included. It's really simple. Go to Genucel.com/Dan today and start looking years, even decades younger tomorrow for those family get-togethers. And as a special holiday gift, every package order includes a bonus beauty box with 2 skincare bestsellers. All orders are automatically upgraded to free priority shipping. Go to Genucel.com/Dan, Genucel.com/Dan. Thanks, Genucel. Folks, I got to tell you, I don't mean to interrupt my own show, but I'm really enjoying this show today, even though it's a really hard, tragic topic to talk about. I don't know why I felt the need to tell you that, but maybe I came into today's show. Some shows I'm more excited than others because this is such an obvious example, these 2 contrasted stories of murder. They both involve murder, school shooting, healthcare CEO shooting. They both, the end game is the same. An innocent person was killed, yet the scumbags in the media are telling you 2 completely different stories, both of which they have a role in by creating this left-wing cult, and yet they've divorced themselves from anything. In one case, it's the gun. The other thing, it's evil corporations. They never mention with this young woman, they'll never mention their role in the destruction of our culture, the church, family that serve as a bedrock. And in the healthcare case, they will never mention to you that the reason the healthcare system sucks, and folks, believe me, I'm in it too, the healthcare system in the United States is broken, is because the leftists broke it. Upwards of 40% of healthcare in the United States has government fingerprints all over it. That's why the process sucks. Now, let me give you a little primer here on why everybody hates healthcare right now. What Obamacare did, folks, everybody paying attention, write this down. It instituted 2 practices that will never work because they can't work, okay? And I'm going to play you this video of this guy, Gruber. He was one of the economists that helped design Obamacare, talking about how they screwed you over because they think you're stupid. I don't know if you saw this video when it came out. You may have, but it's worth replaying. Obamacare instituted community rating and guaranteed issue. Community rating means very simply, everybody's basically going to get charged the same thing. Guaranteed issue means they have to guarantee you a healthcare policy. Oh, Dan, that sounds great. No, it doesn't. Folks, if there is a guy who rides a motorcycle every single day, smokes cigarettes, and drinks a gallon of tequila 7 days a week, he should not be paying the same healthcare premium as you if you're eating your vegetables, working out, doing the sauna, doing your cardio, getting 8 hours of sleep a night. I'm sorry. The world is a tough place. Liberals, get off your mother and live in the real world, you dumbasses. What's happening right now is a bunch of really young, not very wealthy 20-year-olds are paying premiums the same as a 50-year-old guy like me had cancer with osteoarthritis who is making money. Why the hell is my 20-year-old daughter paying the same premium as me? That's what go look it up if you think I'm lying to you. Community rating and guaranteed issue. And they use these complicated words to you at the drive-through, Leo Getz style. So all you young kids out there who voted for Obamacare, celebrating this United Healthcare CEO that got shot in the back, understand, Obamacare's making you pay for a bunch of rich middle-aged people like me. That's a freaking fact, Jack. Look it up. That's a fact. You want to know who effed you at the drive-through? Obama and the Democrats. Look it up. So because these healthcare companies now and these health insurance companies have to charge everybody the same thing, no matter how healthy or whatever life decisions, what happens? they have to start buying other practices because they have to control the costs or they're going to go out of business. And that's why you are getting effed. Period. No. Yes. No. Yes. Do your homework. Community rating guaranteed issue. Go look it up. Here's one of the architects of Obamacare, this economist, real smartass. This, by the way, you want to see a stupid smart person? This is the guy. You know my lecture about stupid smart people and how dangerous they are. Here he is talking about how they passed off the mandate, which was a tax, forcing you to buy some. Here's how they passed, and they confused you because you're all too stupid to do your homework. It ain't me saying it. This is the Obamacare, one of the architects saying it. Watch this.
It's just, you can't do it politically. You just literally cannot do it. Okay? Transparent financing, unless I have transparent financing, also transparent spending. I mean, this bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies. Okay? So it's written to do that. In terms of risk-rated subsidies, if you had a law which said healthy people are going to pay in, it made explicit that healthy people pay in and sick people get money, it would not have passed. Okay? Just like lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass. And, it's the second best argument. Look, I wish Mark was right. We can make it all transparent. But I'd rather have this law than not.
You know the stupid smart assholes? This guy's one of them. I will never stop playing this. That video is, by the way, 10 years old. You understand that this is one of the lefty lunatics that designed this, telling you how freaking stupid you are. You watching me? Here's the lefties' approach to you in the media. You're a freaking moron. How does that make you feel? They didn't tell you if you're 18 or 20 that you're subsidizing your rich parents' health care plan. They didn't tell you that. You didn't know that, did you? If you're 20 years old going, holy shit, healthcare's expensive. It shouldn't be. You're 20. You have cancer, hepatitis, AIDS? No, none of that. So what the fuck are you paying for? You're never going to go to the doctor. What are you going to go for? The flu one year? It costs $200 to see the doctor. Why are you paying $5,000 a year? The answer is because you're paying for your mom and dad who already have money. You're paying for their stuff. And then when the healthcare guy gets shot dead in the middle of the street because they have to comply with this bullshit, you got all these guys, oh, look at this. This is great. You did this, assholes on the left. It's like you broke up our society and you got all these kids shooting up schools. Oh, it's going to be the guns, as if a gun's a new invention. You did the same thing with the healthcare system. So tired of you assholes, man. I really am. I'm seriously in a good mood today. Like, is there a good dark day and a bad dark? I just. Do you see what they do? You see what the liberals do? They break society, they break healthcare, they break public education, and then they turn around, kill people, and blame us for it. And dumbasses fall for it. I've even seen some people on the right. Yeah, well, these healthcare companies are fucked up. Yeah, okay, great. Why? You ever ask yourself why? Why are healthcare companies fucked up? Why? Why is it 30 years ago, people generally liked their health insurance? My father had Lawrence Healthcare. It was great. We had no problems. Why do people hate it now? Oh, look, the lefties got involved. That's what happens every time. To my conservative viewers out there who already know this, I'm sorry you have to go through all this shit. To the dumbass liberals tuning in for the first time, this is the first time you've heard about community rating and guaranteed issue. Welcome to the party, pal. It's Christmas movie season. Some of you will get that. Scandal Watch update. Why is one of the January 6th committee guys, the chairman, Benny Thompson, a communist Democrat? Why does he sound so open and receptive to a pardon by Joe Biden? I'm going to tell you, because something's going on, and I think it involves obstruction of justice. He might. That's a perfect. He thought. You and Guy always use that line whenever you want to drop a hit. Are you having trouble sleeping or staying asleep? Listen, I've been there. It's not just about feeling tired the next day. It's about the toll poor sleep can take on every aspect of your life. That's why I love Beam's Dream Powder. You heard me talk about it. It's a science-backed nighttime blend for sleep that's actually clinically shown to improve sleep and have you wake up refreshed. They sent me some to try about a year ago. I look forward to it. 2025, I'm determined to keep my life hacks going and the momentum going. Dream's part of my nightly routine. It's made a big difference. These other sleep aids cause a problem. They have this next day grogginess issue. Dream contains an all-powerful, all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. It helps you fall asleep, stay asleep, wake up refreshed. The ultimate sleep refresh for the new year. Try it out. Try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 45% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Bongino and use code Bongino at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for up to 45% off. Try it. It's a big savings. And our last sponsor today, Omaha Steaks, the perfect gift to deliver comfort and joy to ones you love with curated gift packages. Omaha Steaks consistently delivers unrivaled quality and taste, hand-selected by master butchers from the finest grain-finished beef, extra aged, flash frozen at peak flavor, and delivered right to you. And now you can deliver the perfect gift with 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code Bongino at checkout. Minimum purchase and restrictions may apply. Been a big fan of Omaha Steaks for a long time. They make it easy to shop with gift packages that are crafted. Every steak's perfectly aged for tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. Grain-finished beef has more marbling and grass-fed for exceptional flavor. It's a choice of steakhouses and chefs or professional chefs around the world. The fan-favorite filet mignon has earned the coveted distinction of USDA certified tender. Give the gift of comfort and joy with Omaha Steaks. omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and unforgettable gifts. And for an extra $30 off, use promo code Bongino at checkout. Minimum purchase may apply. That's 50% off at Omaha, O-M-A-H-A, omahasteaks.com, an extra $30 off with promo code Bongino at checkout. Thanks, Omaha Steaks. We appreciate it. Okay, back to the show. Big Scandal Watch update. I got a little bit on the drone because we've covered that. We beat that story to death, and frankly, I'm sick of talking about it. You know my theory on it. You have your own. That's cool. Much respect. I'm telling you, foreign actors are probably a good percentage of what we're seeing. Some of it's probably mistaken identity. Fine. I'm going to get to that quick, but I want to get to this first. Folks, the IG report, Inspector General, it's like the Government Internal Affairs, came out last week on the FBI's involvement in January 6th. I've been talking about it for 2 days. We now know that FBI assets were embedded in the crowd on January 6th. Most of you are like, we've known that forever. We have. Liberals denied it. The media denied it. The FBI did not have assets on January 6th. They did. Matter of fact, there were agents there too. Someone asked me yesterday, how do you know that? I said one of my friends showed me a selfie there who is a federal agent, said there were other federal agents there. Someone asked me, why did he take a selfie? My answer was, I don't know. Maybe he didn't. This was before the whole, a riot broke out there. So I don't know. Maybe he was going to take a picture because he thought it was, I have no idea why he took it. I'm just telling you, he took it and was there. It's not my business why he took it, but I've seen it and I know there were federal agents there. So the full story of January 6th and the air quotes insurrection, I promise you, has not been told. Here is Eric Schmidt, a great senator from Missouri. This guy's doing an amazing job. He was on a short list for FBI director if Cash didn't get it. He's on Maria Bartiromo's show. There is a massive cover-up going on, folks. And I'm going to tell you what it is right now. The January 6th committee, remember crying Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney, Benny Thompson, Adam Schiff, remember that clown show? Remember they put on the Hollywood producer show and trying to get you to believe there was some massive insurrection? You remember that? Folks, that committee, I'm telling you right now, maybe have some severe criminal liability coming their way. I have zero doubt they interfered with witnesses, they obstructed justice, and they destroyed evidence. There may be real crimes there. Here's Eric Schmidt on Maria's show. I'm talking about the assets, the federal assets in the crowd, and the cover-up going on right now. I think the January 6th committee knew there were federal assets in that crowd and covered it up. Watch this.
The Inspector General is coming out with all of these facts. Does that mean that Liz Cheney and the J6 committee knew about this?
Well, wouldn't that be great to know, Maria? But they destroyed all the documents on their way out. So, again, this whole thing was propped up. I just think you have to look at the arc of the story here. The January 6th committee was set up for the very specific purpose of giving somebody like Jack Smith the reason to go charge President Trump.
That's right.
And to take him out politically. You know, that's the whole thing. They had a Hollywood producer, Maria, come in and do the January 6th hearings with Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and that whole crew. It was a total joke. They destroy the documents on the way out. Jack Smith props up these ridiculous cases that, of course, had no legal merit. The Supreme Court knocks it out with the presidential immunity ruling anyway. Fani Willis, their second in command, is meeting at the White House coordinating. The number 3 person at DOJ goes to the New York prosecutor's office. And President Trump stared all of it down, and won in a mandate, won the popular vote, and here we go now with an opportunity for a real reform agenda.
Folks, the January 6th committee was nothing more than a Hollywood movie production. It was telling you, where am I going with this? A story. It was not telling you the story. The story of January 6th is far, far more elaborate than you've been told by the scumbags in the media. Oh, yeah, it was an insurrection by some crazy MAGA hat-wearing, red hat-wearing lunatics. Ladies and gentlemen, that is bullshit. This is a far bigger story, and I'm telling you what they did. They selected. Do you ever see, here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You ever see one of these stories? I'm trying to think of a story where it resembles almost nothing like the real story. You ever see one of these Hollywood movies and it says this is based on true events? I'll give you a perfect example. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Remember at the end of that, they were like, this is based on true events. And it turned out that it was like the Ed Gein story. Ed Gein had nothing to do with a freaking chainsaw and a leather face. Ed Gein was a serial killer. Like, that was the only thing they had in common. It had nothing to do with a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's what the January 6th committee was. They were committed to a story. MAGA hat-wearing insurrectionists and Chewbacca were going to take the country over. Any evidence that conflicted with that, hey, there may have been maybe some Antifa, maybe some FBI assets in the crowd. Was there some incitement involved? I'm not absolving everyone of blame in this. I want to be clear. I'm just simply telling you that I'm willing to tell you the truth, and these assholes on the left aren't. They eliminated that evidence. And all of a sudden, a lot of the evidence the January 6th committee had seemed to magically disappear. So that explains this. Why is Benny Thompson, the chairman, all of a sudden very nervous, and Adam Schiff too, and Benny Thompson seems really interested in a pardon? They don't want to answer what the informant's instructions were on January 6th. Was it to incite a riot? I don't know. I'd love to find out. What did the January 6th committee, why are they playing dumb about the bomber, the pipe bomber at the DNC? Why are they playing dumb about FBI assets? And why destroy records? Why would you destroy records if you were interested in telling the story? I want you to watch this interview. This is the chair of the committee, Benny Thompson, with Reverend Al. Guy's another joke and a clown. Here, he's asked about a pardon. If he did nothing wrong, Benny Thompson, and this was all on the up and up, then why would you need a pardon? Folks, I don't need a pardon for a bank robbery. I never robbed a freaking bank. What the hell would I seek a pardon for? Watch this. This is very telling. Check this out.
So in light of that, do you think President Biden should do preemptive pardons, and would you accept one if he offered it?
Well, let me say this. If the president, in his infinite wisdom, determined that the work of our committee was legitimate and that we should not be penalized for doing what we as members of Congress should do, and he offers that pardon, I will take it.
Of course he'll take it, because he knows there may be obstruction of evidence, obstruction of justice. Destruction of evidence, obstructing justice, witness tampering. Folks, this story is huge. Now let's go back and dial this back a little bit about why Benny Thompson, the chair of the Hollywood-produced January 6th committee, is so nervous and wants a pardon. Do you remember this line of questioning from Congressman Tom Massey, who has been all over this pipe bomber case? He asks Benny Thompson, it's about 1:20, but it's worth every second. He's like, hey, man, you were the January 6th guy. This pipe bomber planted this bomb on January 6th at the DNC, almost killed Kamala Harris. Why are we the only ones asking questions? Why haven't you touched that? Watch Benny Thompson. Oh, I don't know, man. If you guys know something, it's not our job. It's your job. You're the January 6th committee guy. Watch this, and you'll see why this guy, he wants to tell you a story, not the story. Check this out.
Are you concerned about the lackadaisical attitude of the secret, or maybe you haven't seen the video? Have you seen the video of this discovery of the second pipe bomb?
No. Let me just say, a lot of what you've said here today, I have not been privy to, but I am of the opinion that if the chairman wants to look into that, you convince him to issue the subpoena, I'll go with him.
If I would like to show you that video at some point. I'm surprised your committee did not find it. I mean, there were 2 bombs that day, and according to FBI and ATF and Capitol Police, they were operable, viable bombs. One of them was just feet from Kamala Harris, who was going to become the vice president of the United States. And the Secret Service sat there in their patrol car. It looks to me like they finished eating their lunch before they got out to look at it. And then it was 10 minutes. This is all on video. 10 minutes before they got Kamala Harris out of there. And again, it is Secretary Mayorkas who oversaw the production of these documents, these texts, which were never produced. And that's a real problem for me.
Where are the texts, the Secret Service texts on January 6th? You think Benny Thompson, the chairman, wants to know? Benny Thompson doesn't give a shit. Folks, the biggest scandal of our time is who the hell planted the damn pipe bomb on January 6th at the DNC, and what was Kamala Harris doing there? She still, to this day, does not want to talk about it. It was a setup. It was a fake assassination plot set up by an insider to stop Republicans from talking about election interference on certification day. Factoroo. And that's why neither Benny Thompson or anyone else wants to talk about it. Folks, whoever is the next Secret Service director and FBI director, if you're not going to get to this story on day one and reestablish trust in these 2 prized entities, we need these operations cleaned up. If not, disband them. If you're not going to clean them up and get the FBI focused on actual investigations again and counterterror, then disband it. It's useless. What's the freaking point? If the Secret Service is not going to protect the president and not engage in political cover-ups, then disband it. I'd rather have private security take over. What's the point? So tired of being lied to. So I titled this segment Scandal Watch, because this is what we do, because the media isn't even remote. Where's Stuart Thompson on this story? Is he even remotely curious? You know, that Bongino conspiracy theorist, he's got a point. Why was Kamala Harris at the DNC? Why was there a pipe bomb there and the January 6th chairman doesn't even seem remotely interested? I don't know, Mr. Massey, if you got information. I thought you were the committee chair, dumbass. I don't believe anything coming from the government anymore. And let me tell you something, you shouldn't either. You are being bullshitted all the time. These people are full of crap. Everything they tell you is nonsense. I don't want to spend a ton of time on the drone thing. We've beaten it to death. But this is kind of important because President Trump made a comment yesterday at a press conference. He does. Joe Biden, of course, can't handle a press conference. Doesn't matter. Joe Biden is he's the Pino, the president name only right now. Donald Trump's the actual president right now, which is kind of funny to watch. Watch Joe Biden just be thrown to the scrap heap by both Democrats and Republicans. Donald Trump was asked a question about the drones yesterday, and he says the same thing. For all the people who think I'm crazy, I'm telling you the government knows who it is. It's going to leak out. Because as I said yesterday on my radio show, the government can't keep a secret about anything. People have a bunch of loose lips. It's going to leak out. And most of these sightings, I shouldn't say most, a portion of them are going to be foreign drones surveilling our sensitive locations. You don't have to believe me. I'm willing to I'll go to the wall on that one. It's not going to be every single one. There may be some flag it. There we go. There may be some recreational stuff, some cases of mistaken identity, but I'm telling you, the government knows, and Trump knows they know too. Check this out.
Good to see you.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense.
So there's a theme to today's show. I don't know if you've caught it, but the theme is the media obviously telling you a story, not the story. And because they have to tell you a story that's not true rather than the story it is, what they do is an intermediary to block people from ever searching for the story, like the January 6th story, block people from looking up why their healthcare sucks. Oh, look, healthcare sucks because of Obamacare and the government. They don't. So what they do is they put as a blocker, it's like a fax vaccine to the truth. They block you with Dr. Fauci, Jonathan Gruber, that economist you saw on tape calling you guys morons. They block you with the pseudo expert. The media will say, well, what do you know, Dan Bongino, about masks? You're not an expert on mask epidemiology. I may not be dumbass Stuart Thompson from the New York Times, but I can tell you this, I'm not stupid. Every freaking person that wore a mask got COVID. Everyone. So I always use the analogy of the condom. Say you have a lot of sex. May make you a little uncomfortable. Good. Maybe the analogy will hit home. A condom is meant to be a prophylactic device. The whole idea is to prevent STDs or pregnancy, correct? Imagine you have a lot of sex, and every time you have sex, you get an STD and you get someone pregnant with a condom. Would you wear the condom anymore? You'd be like, no, Dan, that'd be stupid. That's the mask. Only dipshits believe in the mask. But because they don't want you to see the truth, they block you with this patina of experts, the crust of experts. So you never get to the inside of this shit cake they're selling you. Fauci said masks work, and liberals like, yeah, man, Fauci said so. Because they're too freaking stupid to do their own homework. So a lot of these younger folks got caught up in this woke ideology now too, because the experts told them there's a difference between sex and gender. Really? What is it? Well, listen to them go on and on. Well, gender, you determine later on at life. Well, say, no, you don't. Let me give you a quick test. When a baby's born, you guys paying attention to this? This is everybody in the chat, you ready? Put down what you're doing. You got your coffee, maybe your blackout, take a sip, okay. Put the coffee cup down. This is very, very advanced. You woke liberals ready? If when your kid is born, they've got a unit downstairs, they've got a penis downstairs, it's definitely a boy. That's the sex and the gender. No. Michael's stunned. Michael, like, the chair, mine's like locked. He almost fell off the freaking chair back there. Justin had to make a ninja-like move away from the keyboard, grabbed him by the left hand, almost dislocated his shoulder in the process, grabbing the freaking chair from falling over because Michael simply can't believe it. If your kid has a penis, the sex and gender are the exact same. Guy's like that. I'm under the hood for review. Guy's throwing the red flag. He wants a review on that. But the experts, the stupid smart people, the Grubers, the Fagazis, the Benny Thompsons, the Faucis, Yale, this is an Ivy League school that actually believes sex and gender should be used to refer to a person's self-representation. It doesn't matter what you self-represent. If you've got a unit, you're a dude. Nobody gives a shit what you self-represent. There's a unit. No, please. I am definitely a man. It's still there. This is not hard. This is not difficult. This show is freaking crazy. Where's this all coming from? Did you see this clip went nuclear yesterday on social media? There's a dumbass left, again, trying to tell you a story. Sex and gender are different. Really? How come there are no women dominating men's sports if there's no difference? I'm curious. How come there's not a woman who thinks she's a guy who's like competing at the UFC heavyweight level? I'm just curious. Why is it? Why isn't there a single NFL quarterback that has chromosomes for a woman who thinks she's a guy? Why, if there's no difference? I'm just curious. Why is that? Here's Ted Cruz questioning an expert. This is great. This is a big W for Senator Ted Cruz. Hey, why do women's sports exist then if there's no difference between the two things? Check this out.
I'm trying to get a yes or no. I'm not trying to get a speech.
Is
there a difference between women and men?
I think that there are definitions for biological sex.
Okay, so you're
which
not
is
answering
different
that.
than
Let me
gender.
ask you this question then. Why do women's sports exist? If you can't define a difference between women and men, why not abolish women's sports and just tell little girls to swim with little boys and see who wins?
Oh, I'm simply saying that that sex
My
is different
question,
than gender.
why
and I do believe
why
that
do
women's sports have a great
exist?
value. I mean, Senator, I'll tell you right
Ms.
now.
Robinson, please answer the question I'm asking you.
Absolutely.
Why do women's sports exist?
I think that there are so many positive benefits to sports.
But
I mean,
why have a
we've talked
separate
about it here
category for
today.
women? If there's no difference between women and men, why to have women's sports?
I'm saying that there's a difference between sex and gender, and that the NCAA has rules in place, which they have for the last decade.
Mr. Chairman,
which
I would
determine
like
that
to enter into
related
the
to
record an
participation.
article from Duke Law called Comparing Athletic Performances for the Best Elite Women to Boys and Men. And it goes through examining in 2017 the top records for women in the world in various track and field events. So, for example, in the 100-meter, the top record for women in the world was 10.71 seconds. Now, that record for the number one woman in the world in 2017 was, in the year 2017, broken by 124 boys under 18. In that same year, the record for the number one competing woman in the 100-meter dash in the world was broken by a total of 2,474 men.
Yes. You get it? You get the theme? How dumbasses in the media and their moron leftist acolytes only exist to tell you a story, not the story, and the facts vaccine wall in between, that they get the dumbass disciples that keeps them segregated, a story from the story, so they never see the truth, are experts like this moron up on Capitol Hill. Experts. Look at this story from the Daily Caller. The Biden administration, full of experts, by the way, dumped hundreds of thousands into ensuring military parents affirm their child's gender identity. Let me save you hundreds of thousands of dollars with this very simple test. Ah, look at that. That's great. If you got a penis, you're a dude. Consider it affirmed. Send me the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm making charitable donations this year. I will send it off to Folds of Honor or someone else. Save the taxpayers the money, please. Folks, man, today's show has been like a lot. I've been in a mood all week with this stuff because I feel like I've hit this inflection point in my life where I'm not going to let anyone fall for stupid anymore. I'm going to tell you something. I want to see if you guys agree with me. I'd love to hear it in the chat.